All right, looks like we're live. If you are coming on, don't forget to give StreamYard permission to show your comments. Let me actually post that in the link. Give StreamYard permission here to show your comments. Otherwise, your comments will not show up on. I won't be able to see your comments if you don't give StreamYard permission to show your comments. All right, I know it's been a while since I've been on. I've actually been doing some stuff in the background. It's a lot that's been going on. But I'm here. I decided I actually have something coming up at around 3:30, 4 o'clock. There's another live stream that we're going to be doing. And I decided, well, it's been a while since I've done an introduction video. So I was checking the other day on my YouTube channel, and I was kind of looking at my original introduction and realized that it was really outdated and that there was so much on there that, you know, was just old, and that if people met me today and watched that introduction, the two of them just would not gel, right? So I decided, well, this might be as good of a time as any to go ahead and just kind of reintroduce myself. It's a new year. Over the last few years, I've achieved quite a few different certifications since that previous introduction video was done. So I decided, well, let me just go ahead and kind of reintroduce myself, let you know who I am, what I'm all about, that sort of thing. Today is Tuesday, which is typically a tea time Tuesday. So I do have a cup of tea that I'm going to be sharing with you, and I share with you the ingredients and a little bit of the benefits of some of those ingredients as well, in addition to kind of reintroducing myself to for those of you who don't know me. That's probably a good thing, because then you'll know about me from here on out. But for those of you who've been following my journey from, I want to say maybe 2000, 2009, 2010, however long it's been since I originally got the lupus diagnosis, it's been a few years. So if you've been on my lupus Facebook page since the beginning, then you know me. You've been following that, my own personal journey with lupus and a few other diagnoses. But if you're just meeting me for the first time, you won't know a lot of what it took to get here today, because the person that you're looking at today is somebody who's overcome chronic illness, lupus, and everything else that they decided to throw at me. So for the last year or so, I've been kind of sharing that part of the journey rather than focusing on the diagnosis part. I've done a lot over the last. Somebody asked me the other day, when did I get diagnosed? And to be honest, I could not remember, and I really don't, because it's a date in my history I really don't care to remember. Right? There's some dates you don't want to remember. That was one of them for me, and that is one of them for me. Now, 2 years ago, when I stood in front of my rheumatologist and they were going through my, at the time, that current blood work that I had done, and she said to me, if I didn't see your original blood work, I would say that you had been misdiagnosed, because the blood work I'm looking at now shows no evidence of lupus in your body. Right. That day, I do remember very clearly. But my original diagnosis was at least 9 years ago. At least, I know that much. And it's not a day that I care to remember, because I received, and you probably did as well if you've been, diagnosed with a chronic illness, like lupus or MS or one of those other autoimmune conditions, you probably remember your doctor telling you all of these really negative things that maybe you believe them, maybe you didn't. I made a choice not to believe them, and that's probably why I'm able to sit in front of you today telling you that it is possible to heal yourself from lupus. A lot of doctors don't tell you that, but it took my doctor telling me that in order for me to do it. And it was not an overnight journey. It was years, many years, a lot of research, a lot of trial and error, a lot of, trying this particular thing, trying that particular thing. So it wasn't one thing that actually helped me. It was a collection of different modalities that I've worked with. Some of them worked better than others, but I can't sit here and say, okay, it was just one thing that worked really well. All right. But it was that lupus was a diagnosis that actually got me started on becoming a master herbalist, which is one of the things I'm going to share with you. I tried so many different things, and lots of different herbs worked, and lots of them didn't. So throughout that whole research, I decided, you know what? If I'm going to be studying all of this stuff, why not go ahead and just get certified in it? So that's one of the things I did. I became an herbalist about 6 years ago, and then just over a year ago, I decided to go ahead and start my master herbalist certification, which I achieved back in 2019. Yes, 2019. So it's been just over a year since I received that certification. So the certifications I received were literally based on all of the different journeys that I myself took in an effort to try to heal my body from autoimmunity. So because I know that, when you go to see someone, you want to say, well, okay, why are you able to tell me that this is going to work? And yes, it's one thing to go to doctors and they say, okay, take this pill, take this pill, take this pill, because they're knowledgeable in what these particular pharmaceutical medications can do for your body. That's why you go. But doctors will admit that every single lupus patient or any other autoimmune condition patient, they're all different, but yet they give you the same medication for every single patient. Why? So after taking all of these different pills, I think I was at almost 20 the last time I stopped. When I stopped counting, I had a huge bag, and the next we're kind of in the middle of moving, and I have stuff in storage, and the next opportunity I get, I want to bring out the bag because I did save all of the pharmaceutical meds that I was on. I have them in a huge Ziploc bag because a lot of people don't really believe that I was taking so many. So I want to have that at it's going to be a future date. I want to have that bag and share with you all of the different pharmaceutical medications that I was on. And the last pharmaceutical meds that my doctor actually recommended, because I went into him, this was just before I actually, kind of fired him. Yeah, you are allowed to fire doctors. So I went in and I'd been complaining of, this was at least 8 years ago, I was complaining of being in just so much pain, and everything that they had been giving me was just not working. And I said, look, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it all. And he looked at me, he said, well, I would like to recommend methotrexate. But I know that, it's a chemotherapy drug and it's not something that I really, really want to give to you. And I said, well, don't, because I'm not going to take it anyway. And I had done enough research with other lupus patients to learn that, it's chemotherapy for lupus. And I know a lot of lupus patients who currently take methotrexate as part of their healing protocol, and I did not want that as part of mine. So I declined, And shortly after that, I ended up leaving that particular doctor and finding another neurologist. This doctor also wasn't really open to, and a lot of the doctors aren't. So if you find a doctor who's open to, for you trying more natural remedies for healing, then you might want to keep that doctor. Now, a lot of doctors kind of dish out what I'd like to call a life vest kind of treatment. A lot of them, they'll give you this medication and say, okay, take this because it's going to make you feel better. It's not going to cure you, but you're going to have to be taking it for the rest of your life. So it's basically kind of like a life vest meant to kind of keep you afloat. Which is why I always recommend, instead, if you're looking for natural remedies, don't throw away your pharmaceutical doctors. Keep your, I shouldn't say that, don't throw away your medical doctors. You need your medical doctors because they're knowledgeable in whatever condition you have. However, if you're looking for more natural, remedies, seek out a nutritionist, seek out an aromatherapist, somebody who's knowledgeable with essential oils. Is what I mean. Seek out an herbalist. Seek out, any of all those other alternative medicines or alternative modalities, and try to implement those in addition to what your medical doctor is telling you. Now, you might get to the point where you said, okay, I don't want to take any pharmaceuticals, and that's fine. When you get to that point, still keep your medical doctors, because your medical doctors do know, they're knowledgeable in the condition that you have. And your medical doctors, if they're open to it, they will also consult with your nutritionist, your herbalist, or whoever it is that you're working with as well. Good doctors will join the team. You want to have your team, and you want to make sure that all of your doctors are talking to one another. All right. So when you do find your team, a good team, you want to keep those, right? So in my journey, I ended up meeting an herbalist, and it was, I think, it was one item that she gave to me, which had 3 ingredients, which I still take to this day. And that's been, I think that was 2012 when I started taking that particular one. And it was this particular herbalist that kind of helped guide my journey through studying herbalism and that sort of thing. And I'm still with her to this day. I still go to her to have different items made that, that I kind of want to experiment with. And I still bounce ideas off of her as well. So that's been really good for me. So I mentioned that I am a master herbalist. One of the other things that I did try out, and I still work with them to this day, is essential oils. I use a lot of different essential oils. I got rid of all of my, perfumes, other perfumes, and I didn't really use a whole lot. There's one thing, Obsession. I think I did have Obsession, and I did have a few other ones, like Pheromone and a couple others that I really, really loved. And I ended up just getting rid of them and not using them anymore, because I started making my own perfumes using essential oils. Because if you haven't studied essential oils, these are highly concentrated oils that come from plants, and a lot of them have so many different benefits. Antiseptic, antiviral, antiparasitic. I could go on and on and on and on. I'm really hoping you guys aren't hearing the music outside, because I know that periodically we could get kicked off, but there's a lot of really loud music going on. So if I guess I'm the only one that's being bothered by, because I can hear it outside very clearly. All right, so I did become, over the last number of years, an aromatherapy consultant. So having studied, a lot of the different essential oils, and got trained in how to put these different oils together to create what's the word, like oils that create homeostasis within the body. I started to work with them on my feet. I mean, literally like everywhere. There's an oil blend that I work with every single day. It goes on my face after I wash it. It goes on my face, my neck, the back of my neck. Then I have different perfumes that I will, anoint myself with throughout the day. So aromatherapy is another one of the fields that I found was very, very beneficial in helping me to heal. A couple of the other, let me grab my notes real quick, because I always make notes to myself and I never use them. And that's when I end up forgetting what I'm supposed to say anyway. So I like to let me stick with my notes. All right, so one of the things you notice at the bottom of my, on the screen, it says Integrative Healing Life Coach. You're probably wondering, what the heck does that mean? And the integrative healing basically means that I've worked with a lot of different modalities. I mentioned the herbalism, essential oils, sound therapy is another one. I know a lot of people are probably thinking, sound therapy. Yes, if you're familiar at all with the Bible, you know that sound is a very powerful energy. If you know the story about Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho, if you know that song just popped into my head. That's how I remember it. It's Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. You know that his army marched around Jericho 7 times, and at the end of the seventh time, they blew their trumpets, and the walls came crashing down. That's the story in a nutshell, right? So we know that sound is a very, very powerful thing. So I started working with sound and different frequencies, and you can go down that rabbit hole by yourself. Just look up solfeggio frequencies. There's a lot of them, a lot of research that you'll find on YouTube and on different articles on the internet. So I'm not going to go into all of the details about all of the different frequencies that you can work with. But the one that I loved to work with was 528. And if you're not familiar with the 528 solfeggio, look up the oil spill that occurred in the Gulf of Mexico. I don't know how many years back. I think this was back in the early 90s. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's when it was. And the 528 frequency was actually used to clean up that oil spill and to help to heal the Gulf. All of the plants that had been damaged within, after that oil spill had taken place. So look up 528 solfeggio frequency, and you find a lot of information on that, and you also find a lot of information on why the 528 is really good for helping with healing your body as well. The other frequency that I love to work with was 174 hertz, and that one is called the pain frequency. So whenever I was in a lot of pain, the 174 was played quite a bit, and you don't necessarily have to be awake listening to it, because it works on a cellular level. So your body basically can hear this frequency, and it reacts or responds to the frequency itself. So 174 was the pain frequency, and then 528. 528 is considered like the love frequency. So I worked with those two quite a bit, but you can go ahead and do your own research on solfeggio frequencies, and you can find the benefits of, I think there are about 9 of them. Find out the benefits of each of them as far as a healing modality is concerned. All right. So the other thing that I did a lot of was art therapy, and most of you if you know me for many years, you know that art's in my blood. It's me. I'm an artist. That's part of who I am, right? And you can probably see there's a painting hanging behind me that's one of them that I created many years ago. But art therapy was integral to my emotional well-being, and I'm sure that all helped with the physical healing as well. But there was a few, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when I took a challenge, or I gave myself a challenge actually, and I created a painting for 101 days, because I was going through a really tough time at that point, and I just needed something I could focus on, because I knew that if I could focus on just creating for that length of period, I know that it would have a healing effect on my body, and it did. And you can the there are, I think, three videos that I did on YouTube where I showcased all of the different works that I created during that particular time. So art therapy is huge. You don't necessarily have to paint anything. We're all creative beings. We were designed to create. We were created by the ultimate creator, God Himself. But He created us to be creative people. And a lot of people, I think, have forgotten that they are creative beings, right? So, but you don't have to create artwork. You can create music. Um, you can make candles. You can whatever it's. You can write poetry. Whatever your mode of creation is, do that, and that you'll find is such a huge blessing when it comes to healing your body. Even if you're not going through something physical, if it's something emotional, you can find that just creating or writing, whatever the case is, that will help you as far as helping you emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever the case might be. So I did. I actually taught art and sculpture. That was what I was doing when I ended up getting diagnosed as with lupus many years ago, and they determined that there were symptoms that were present long before I actually received my diagnosis, and your doctors will probably tell you that as well. So being an art and sculpture teacher was actually really helpful as well, but I ended up having to quit that part of my life, teaching at the private school. I had to end up quitting that because I just got really, really ill towards this is the early part of my diagnosis. But art remained something that I used when it came to helping my body to heal. And it's still something to this day that I encourage others. And if you've been following me on my Facebook, my Facebook lupus page, you know that I did, gosh, I don't know how many days of art therapy, a really shortened lesson every single day to kind of help people who are going through a tough. And this was during, when this new big C occurred early part of last year. So I shared, I think it was about 31 days of art therapy, and you can go back and you can look those up and you can find them. They're very, very easy. I don't like to say assignments. There's just little projects that will kind of help you with your emotional well-being. So I did become certified as an art therapy life coach a few years back. I was already, an artist, but I decided, well, let me just go ahead and get the certification under my belt, because I know that people like to see these titles when they go to someone for help. So that is another one of my certifications as well. And in addition to that, I also got certified as a professional counselor. The last one that I received very recently, actually, was my vegan nutritionist certification. You'll hear me say that food is the ultimate medicine. Whatever is at the end of your fork and goes into your mouth, gets into your body, that is the ultimate medicine. You can try all of the art therapy. You can try all of the sound healing. You can try, all of the other stuff. But if you're still not putting the right foods into your mouth, then you're kind of defeating the purpose. You should really start out with food as being your first source of medicine, and then you can add on all of the other things. Because I haven't, and this is just me, I haven't found that just one thing is going to work. But food is by far, to me, the most important thing that you can put into your body to heal your body. If you don't forget about all of the other stuff, feed your body right. Your body is designed to have proper nutrition. All of your cells are not going to work properly if you feed it junk. Now, me personally, I'm a vegan. Not everybody can be vegan. However, you still can make a choice as to what you put into your body and make sure that you're putting wholesome foods, vegan, vegetarian, what meat eater. It doesn't matter. As long as you're feeding your body properly, then you should see the proper results within your body. Um, I was listening to a speaker recently. There's a summit that I was watching last week, and at the very beginning, this particular I believe he was a doctor. He was a medical doctor, and he talked about being in a meeting with big pharma, and he was part of the other team, which was the food industry. He was part of the food industry, and he said that it brought him to tears when he heard a particular comment that was made, and shortly after that, he ended up leaving the food industry and started a whole other journey in trying to help people, with overcoming illness using proper nutrition. But the comment that broke his heart was Big Pharma basically said to the members of the food industry, you keep making the kind of foods that you're making, let them eat crap, they get sick, and that's where we come in. We give them all of the pills to help them to get better, but they won't get better because the pills are just going to simply create one issue after another in the body, and then you give them another pill to counteract the side effect that that one pill is creating, and then there's a snowball effect going from there and there. And this particular doctor, he just sat there. Everyone else was kind of, erupted in this laughter, and he was the only one sitting there with tears flowing down his face, because that is the relationship that we have between big pharma and the food industry. Neither one of them are there to help you to heal. You have to take matters into your own hands whenever it comes to taking care of your body. You have to decide what goes into your body. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you that I'm perfect when it comes to eating, because I do have my moments. I like my occasional bag of chips, and I like my occasional chocolate, although you'll see I love like raw cacao and that sort of stuff. But I am not perfect by any means when it comes to food and nutrition. But I will tell you that I do make an effort every single day to make sure that whatever goes into my body and into my child's body is proper nutrition, and is going to be there for food that is going to help to heal or to feed the cells. Your cells are, how do you put this? Your cells are your entire body is energy, and if you don't give it the proper energy, then you're not going to get the kind of energy you're looking for to come out of it, right? And another part that people tend to forget is, yes, we are energetic beings. We're electrical beings. So a lot of the foods that we put in break down and help to feed the energy of each cell. So if you're not giving your body the proper foods that are going to break down and give the required energy to all of we have billions, trillions of cells in our body, and our cells are constantly being turned over. Like every few months you have a new heart. Every another few months you have a new liver. You're not always the same person month. Every 6, 8 months, 10 months, right? And certainly every year you are a different human being as far as cellular wise is concerned. So if you're not giving yourself the proper food and nutrition to allow for all of that energy to be taking place, then you're basically kind of feeding the potential for illness or dis-ease in your body, right? So nutrition, you'll hear me say, food is like the ultimate medicine. So make sure that you're always feeding yourself properly. So that's one of the reasons why I ended up getting certified, because not only I was trying to eat properly myself, but I was also sharing with my community just how eating well can heal your body, right? And I was in for a huge wake-up call when I did this course. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. Went to college, did all of that stuff, and have all of these other certifications under my belt. And I will tell you, the vegan nutritionist course kicked my butt. It was one of the most challenging certifications I think I've ever done, because there's just so much to know about the human body. Now, when I studied aromatherapy, we studied every major system in the body, how the essential oils would affect the lymphatic system, how it affects the circulatory system, all of the different systems. When I studied herbalism, we studied all of the different herbs that are good for the lungs, that are good for the heart, that are good for the bloodstream, that are good for you name it. When it came to studying vegan, well, forget about it being a vegan nutritionist course, just a nutritionist course on how all of the food as it breaks down and feeds all the different cells, which cells make up all of the different organs, and organs make up all of these different systems. And yes, you get my point. So doing this vegan nutritionist course just was one of the toughest certifications I think I've ever undertaken thus far. I have a few other things that I'm working on, but yeah. So I mentioned sound healing, aromatherapy, becoming a master herbalist, art therapy, life coach, that sort of thing. And there's quite a few other things. One of the things I decided to do is to become a member of an organization, and you can see my logo right here on the screen. It's the Complementary Medical Association. So if you want to find out a little bit more about me, you can certainly type in Complementary Medical Association. You can type my name in, and then you can see all of the other certifications that I have, all of the different things that I offer as well. And just that's one way to find out a little bit about me. You can also look up my YouTube channel. I have loads of videos on there that talk about my journey with lupus and chronic illness, and lots of other videos on there about different herbs that I've worked with, different essential oils that I've worked with. I've also, over the last few months, I've been doing Tea Time Tuesday, so you'll see those videos on there as well. And every Friday I also do an essential oil live stream where I talk about different I want to say blends. They're not necessarily perfumes, although I use them as perfumes, but different essential oil blends that I've created over the years, and I've talked about a lot of the different benefits of these essential oils. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, look up Oily Fridays. And you can also look up Tea Time Tuesday for the different teas. And speaking of which, there's one that I wanted to share with you today. The tea that I'm drinking, well, you really can't even see it because it's in right here. This one has, let me set it down so it doesn't drop. This particular blend, I had quite a few different names. I couldn't figure out which name I really wanted to use. Originally, it was like Dirty Water. Yeah, wasn't. And the reason I came up with Dirty Water was because of a story in the Bible. But I thought that may not necessarily catch on. Then the other one was Muddy Chai. Another one I thought about was Muddy Water. And then after a while, I just said, okay, because of the ingredients, and you'll hear the ingredients, you'll see why I came up with this current name, which is hot chocolate. Okay, so here's what's in it. It has cacao, and I mentioned cacao earlier. It has a chai tea blend, and you can certainly find lots of different chai tea blends on the internet if you look that up. I also did a video a couple weeks ago when I talked about creating my particular chai tea blend, so you can find that as well. But a chai tea blend is in here, and the chai tea typically has cinnamon, clove, cardamom, nutmeg. I think there are a few others, but those are the main ones, and those are all very antiseptic, antiparasitic, antiviral, antibacterial, all of those. So if you're drinking, or you know, if you have chai tea in the bag form, you can certainly use that as well. The other ingredient in here, or other ingredients, are turmeric. I have a mushroom blend in here, and the main mushroom is reishi, which is considered to be the mushroom of longevity. So, but it has huge immune benefits, huge. Rose petals are in here, rose hips are in here, and I've mentioned those in videos before, and those are loaded with vitamin C. And then, of course, the final ingredient, actually, no, this is not the final ingredient, but this other ingredient I've done several live streams on before as well. This is elderberry. We know that during this time, this is probably the one thing that I've been drinking every single day, is elderberry, because it is really great as a prevention, as well as if you currently are experiencing any kind of symptoms with cold and flu, then it's also good to be drinking it then as well. So cacao, the chai tea blend, turmeric, the reishi mushroom, and a few other mushrooms are in here, rose petals, rose hips, and elderberry. But then I also have black peppercorn in here, and then the final ingredient is cayenne pepper. And cayenne pepper kind of gets you right here. And the reason why I like to have, and this kind of explains why I decided to call it hot chocolate. You have like the final ingredient is the cayenne pepper, and the main ingredient in here is cacao, which is the chocolate form, right? So I decided I'd call it hot chocolate. So if you like to go ahead and create that, just kind of play around with the ingredients. Cacao, your chai tea blend, turmeric, reishi mushroom is by far the most important one, for me anyway. Rose petals, rose hips, elderberry, and cayenne pepper. Now, if cayenne pepper is a little bit too much for you, then you can certainly put in some black pepper, or you can put in some just some dried chopped pepper in there, and it won't be as hot as the cayenne pepper is, because the cayenne pepper really, I like this particular tea to be hot. So whenever I drink this, it's usually because I might have woken up with like some congestion under or in this area, and I like to be able to drain. And which brings me to this. There's a routine that I do every day. Every day. If I don't do it, I kind of feel sort of off, and it's a tapping routine. And if you've heard about tapping or EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, EFT is used by a lot of people, especially if you have anxiety, if you're a veteran and you're still kind of, you're home, but you're still in the war, so to speak. EFT has been used by war veterans, by people who have any kind of emotional concern. So it basically stands for emotional freedom technique, but it's tapping, where you basically take your certain fingers and you're tapping on different areas of your body and your face to kind of release certain emotions that you might have within your body. So in addition to drinking the hot tea, I do a tapping routine every single morning, which kind of helps me to release any kind of congestion that I might have. Whenever it gets cold for me, sometimes like in here tend to get really congested, and as well as up here. So I do a tapping routine where I basically tap at the top of the eyes, the side, underneath here, and then I continue down to my neck and I guess the chest bone here, and then I work around the liver, the spleen, kidney area, and then I kind of do a huge circular routine, right? So I work the tapping routine in with whatever teas that I'm drinking on that particular day. And the tapping routine is something I do every single day because it's the one thing that helps to alleviate, any kind of excess mucus that you might have up here. That is one thing I would highly recommend if you wake up every morning and you're kind of stuffy in here, you just simply, and I'm thinking about doing a video on this to kind of walk you through the steps, and you can easily just go back and you can follow it, because it will be up, as long as YouTube and Facebook decide to keep it up. So I can share that in a video form to show how I go through and I basically clear my head. But not only that, I'm also working on my energetic field as well. And I know when I say that, some people go, huh? Yet you are an energetic being. You're an energy being, right? You're an electrical being. And a lot of people tend to forget that and only work on the physical part of them and forget that we do have a huge electrical system running throughout us. And to prove it, if you've ever stuck your finger into a socket and you got shocked, you just proven that you are an electrical being. So a lot of people tend to forget that there is that other part of them, and they only work on the physical part. So they only, you feed yourselves every day, but you don't work on the spiritual part or the energy part of you. So every single day I work on my energy, lack of a better way of putting it. I work on my energy every single day. This is one reason why I don't need to drink coffee, because once I work on my energy in the morning, my energy can stay up and up, and usually 11, 12, 1 o'clock, I'm still going fairly strong. And I have to force myself to kind of wind down at the end of the day. So but don't forget, you're not just a physical being. You're actually you're what they like to say, you're an energy being or spiritual being having a human existence, right? So we need to work on the spiritual part of us every single day and work on the energy part of us every single day. So that's another reason why I like to do the tapping, because it not only works on the physical part of helping to clear my head, but it also works on the energetic part of me as well. And that is something that I've worked on, I've learned about over the last few years, and that's a rabbit hole that you can go down yourself and learn a little bit more about that. It is not, people think about it as this woo-woo thing, and it's really not. Because if a lot more people really learned about all of the different facets of the human body, we'll realize just how much time we spend and we just focus on the physical, and we kind of forget about all of the other stuff. And here's the other part, the emotional part. We're not realizing that our emotional well-being, physical well-being, it's all connected. If you work on your emotional part and you forget about the physical part, that's not good. If you work on the physical part and you forget about the emotional part, that's not good either. So we really do have to connect everything, and that's when complete health is going to start to take place. Your spiritual, your emotional, your physical, everything works together to create whole health. And that is one of the reasons why I did study all of the different modalities. Now, one of the other modalities that I did study, and this is considered to be a little controversial, and that's okay. I studied it, and I'm going to put it out there, which is crystal Reiki. And it's considered, well, just the mere fact that I mentioned crystals, you're probably going, yeah, it's a controversial topic. So I'm not saying that this is something that you have to do. I'm just saying that it is something that I studied, and I've studied in great detail, and I've learned enough to know just how, I just mentioned about energy. I've studied so many of these different, I want to say, I call them God's, there's another little aspect of God's artwork, but they all have or carry different frequencies within them. Your body does as well. The planet does as well. Herbs, foods, all of the essential oils, they all carry all of these different frequencies. And when we can learn to work with the different frequencies within, and that's basically what you're working with, all of the different frequencies within the essential oils and the herbs and your body, when you find all of the things that work for your body, that is when health begins to take place. Right? So I understand, you're looking at me and going, crystals, ooh, okay. Here's another thing I'd like to suggest. Read in the Bible where God himself dictated to Aaron specific crystals in which to put on his breastplate before he went into war. I've studied these. Some of them, throughout the years, the name of particular ones might have changed, and it has taken a lot of work and research to try to figure out, okay, this started out in the Bible as this particular name and ended up as this particular name, or maybe it didn't. I'm not sure, but I've been doing a lot of research on these 12 particular crystals that have been mentioned in the Bible, and why specifically did God choose these 12 and told him, okay, put these 12 on your breastplate and, before you go into your particular battle. So I've heard a lot of people mention to me, crystals they're not godly, they're not this and they're not that. I've studied them a lot, yes. And I've read enough in the Bible to know that, it clearly says God himself dictated these particular ones. So if God chose these particular ones, why did he choose them? And then why all of a sudden are they now becoming like ungodly? So before I go, I'm not going to go into any more of that. But yes, I did get certified as a crystal Reiki practitioner. So that is another one of the fields that I do work with, because I do believe that crystals do carry a particular frequency. And oh, well, this just popped into my head. If you wear a watch that has was it quartz? Quartz is a crystal, and quartz is in so many different things and has been used for I don't know how long now, but obviously there is some kind of frequency within quartz that allows the energy to be harnessed to create a particular result with whoever is working with them, right? So before you send me any hate mail or hateful comments, whatever the case is, do a little bit of research on quartz and how it's been used in technology over the last however many years. Build your research upon that. Do some research on the crystals. Don't take my word for it. You don't have to believe whatever it is that I say. Trust me, I am not that smart. Any knowledge that I've gained is because I've spent years and years and years actually studying this stuff. But I'm not throwing it at you because this is what I'm telling you that, you have to do this. No, I'm sharing with you knowledge that I've gained and stuff that I've worked with over the years to heal myself. And it's entirely up to you to decide, okay, that sounds kind of interesting. Maybe I'll look into that. Or no, I think I'm going to stay away from that one. It is entirely up to you. All right. So let me make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, so I did talk about the tea. Let me go a little bit, just give you a few benefits of some of these ingredients, but you can certainly look them up yourself as well. The chai tea blend I mentioned, what I'll do is I will link the chai tea blend video onto this one, and then that way you'll be able to see the what the ingredients are and all of the different benefits, because I mentioned those in great detail in that particular video, and I don't want to really bore you with all of that stuff right now as well. Turmeric, now I'm sure you've heard of turmeric or turmeric, depending on who's pronouncing it. Huge, so much research has been done on this one particular herb. It's a cousin to the ginger. Look up turmeric. I mentioned earlier that there was one particular item that this this herbalist started me on years ago when I was first diagnosed, and it was an herbal blend of frankincense, turmeric, and ginger, and it's a very powerful anti-inflammatory blend. Frankincense, was a gift to baby Jesus, and I have a whole. I could talk about that for a long time, but we know frankincense is extremely anti-inflammatory. Turmeric, another great anti-inflammatory, and ginger, again, another anti-inflammatory, plus a host of other benefits, right? But that was the one blend that I started on when I was first diagnosed. And if you've been diagnosed with lupus or any other autoimmune condition, you know that joint pain, among all kinds of other pains, you've probably experienced it. This is the one item that I still take to this day, is frankincense, turmeric, and ginger. And if I don't take it in the pill form, it is in some form of tea that I am drinking on a regular basis. And that has been instrumental, hugely instrumental, in keeping inflammation away from my body. I can show you images, and you can even look up there's a platform that I write on called Hub Pages, and you can certainly look it up on there. You can, if you just type in my name, you'll see all of the different things that I've written about, and you'll find all of the different herbs that I've written about, lots of different articles on herbs, aromatherapy. You'll even find an article that has my original journey from my original lupus diagnosis. I made myself very vulnerable in this article. There are pictures in there that show you what I used to look like when I would wake up every single morning. They weren't pretty. You'll see pictures in there with, from Raynaud's issues that I would have, issues with my teeth, like spontaneous bleeding gums, losing teeth. Gosh, you can find them on the Hub Pages, and I documented the lupus journey, then my herbal journey, my aromatherapy journey. So it's all there. And if you have any questions whatsoever about if you have questions about your particular lupus journey or autoimmune condition, send them my way. You can send me a direct message. You can send it to me on below this video in YouTube. You can send it to me in an email, and I will see if I can respond. But any kind of concerns that you may have, if I mentioned something in here that you're not too familiar with and you'd like for me to do another video on it, maybe, then by all means, I will take it under advisement. You just simply need to post it in the comments somewhere, or send me a message, or direct message, or an email, whatever. I think I've mentioned everything that I need to mention as far as a reintroduction. I know I didn't really get into a whole lot of detail concerning my original diagnosis, because there is a video already on YouTube that kind of talks a lot about my original lupus diagnosis and all of the other diagnoses. I think there were about 9 or 10 that I received over the years. I try not to live in that place anymore, because I like for people to see, okay, yes, I understand your diagnosis. Now, what are you going to do? And to try to kind of elevate yourself past the diagnosis. It's time to, step into the healthier you. And I'm not saying it's going to be like an overnight thing, because trust me, it wasn't. It took a lot of work. It was a lot of crying. It was a lot of pain. I ended up adding on a psychiatrist to my team of doctors, I think after my first year of being diagnosed, because it was one of those things where I had, I would say I had children. I have children, but they were younger then. And it was just like, how am I going to be able to take care of my kids? Right? So when I say I understand, I probably understand everything you're going through. Is most likely because I've been there. So any questions that you may have, feel free to reach out to me. If I can't help you, um, I can certainly find somebody who can, or at least point you in the direction of somebody who knows more of, you know, if if you're having a concern with something and I don't think I'm capable of helping you, then I will certainly try to find somebody who can help you with that. Okay. But I'm hoping that what I've shared with you has helped you enough to say, okay, you know, it's been a road. This has been a long, long journey, and it's I'm at a place where even with everything that I've studied, even with all the knowledge I've gained, I always end it with this: only God. Because, yeah, only God could have taken me through everything that I've been through and gotten me to this point right now. Because for me, God is the ultimate healer. And even with everything that I've learned, all of it was a tough journey. It was a very tough, long journey. And God was there at every step of the way. So that is the one thing. And I'm not saying, you know, I know that not everybody on here that watches my streams believe in God, and that's perfectly fine. I'm just telling you that's part of my journey. So whenever you come onto my live streams, chances are you're going to hear me talk about it. All right. So I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything, but I think that's everything so far as my reintroduction. I wanted to do this because music downstairs. Anyway, so I wanted to do this reintroduction because I know that I hadn't done one in a while. So I wanted to make sure I shared, you know, updates with you. So I'm going to go ahead and log off now, especially since I just got some live entertainment. Join me. And I hope that you have, hope that this has been helpful. So if you have any questions, just simply reach out, post a comment, email, all of the different ways to reach me. All right. Thank you for sharing this time with me, and I will see you all again real soon.